Hi, my name is Joe Ensley, and I'm really excited to have you on my channel for another episode of Characters in the Bible, Homegirl Edition, and today we get to talk about someone who has been a long time coming. And I'll tell you about that, but before I do, I just want to go ahead and encourage you that if you in any way like my content, and you've decided that Patreon is not your option, you can't do $3 a month. And my Amazon affiliate links, that's not a way you can support me either. A great way for you to support me is to subscribe and share and hit that notification bell so that when new videos come out, you watch them. Watch time helps me out. But I also want to give my YouTube friends a specific challenge today.
The Rock is issuing a challenge to anybody in the back who wants to go one-on-one with a great one.
Now, today we're going to talk about Huldah. So, Huldah is not going to really be one of these people that you'll use, but I want you to look through my Characters in the Bible Homegirl Edition series, and if you have a friend that shares a name with one of the people in my series, I'd like you to share it with that friend. Just get the word out. Let people know that I'm doing this. Now, if you have a friend named Huldah, I owe you a cup of coffee or something, but maybe you won't have a friend named Huldah, but surely you know an Esther or a Deborah or an Abigail or some of the other girls on my series. So take the time, grab that YouTube link, throw it in Messenger or text to the friend of yours that shares the name of the girl in my series and send it on to them. Now, but to tell you about Huldah, I have to tell you about two other YouTube channels. The first one I have to tell you about is That Saved Woman. Now, a link to these two YouTube channels will be in my description. But That Saved Woman was the first YouTuber to ask me to do a series on women. So Characters in the Bible Homegirl Edition was brought about because That Saved Woman asked me to do a series on women. I'm so glad she did. I've learned a lot. I think everyone else has enjoyed it, so it's been really good. I also have to point out the YouTuber Living Light and Salty. Living Light and Salty, I'll have a link to her channel in the, I'll have a link to that channel in my description as well. But Living Light and Salty went back to Monday's Monarch. And when I talked about King Josiah in my Monday's Monarch series, they commented and asked for Huldah herself. So this episode is dedicated to you, Living Light and Salty. This is Huldah. This is the episode you asked for. Let's dig into what Huldah has for us. Now, the reason we're talking about Huldah today is because it was originally brought up with King Josiah. King Josiah is in Monday's Monarch. If you haven't seen that video, I'd encourage you to go back, check out my Monday's Monarch series, look at King Josiah. He's an 8-year-old king, and he decides as soon as he takes the throne, he's going to build up the church. And when he starts fixing up the church and finding all the problems and replacing the sinks and sweeping the floors, they discover the book of Deuteronomy. At least it was a book of the law. Scholars believe it was the book of Deuteronomy. And Josiah's response was to read the entire book in one sitting to the kingdom. This 8-year-old has it together. He knows that what's important for his people is the word of God. So thank you, Josiah, for setting that example for us. But at the same time that God is working in the heart of an 8-year-old king to share the word of the Lord and the law with the children of Israel, he also decides to work in the heart of a woman named Huldah. Now, if you'll go to the book of 2 Kings, I can't spoil all this for you. I would hate for you to think that this is the only source of the Bible that you need in your life. I would hate for anyone to think they don't need to go read their Bibles for themselves because Pastor Joe will give it to them. Terrible, terrible. So I'm going to send you out for yourself on this. 2 Kings chapter 22. If you'll go to 2 Kings chapter 22, you're going to see the two parts of the prophetic oracle that God put onto Huldah. And so it's really cool because, you know, there's that story of Elijah, and he goes to a cave and he's really upset and he says, God, why am I the only one that you're doing anything in for? And sometimes in the Christian walk, we feel really lonely and we think, oh, I'm the only one that's doing what's right and everyone else is evil. And sometimes that's true. I mean, if you're Noah, that would be a valid saying, I suppose. But many times it's not. And God's encouragement to Elijah was, I have 100 more guys that are faithfully serving me. And just because you haven't met them doesn't mean they're not there, Elijah. So stop your pity party. And what's cool here, we don't have a pity party, but we see God working in the heart of King Josiah. And instead of being able to say, oh, well, the whole children of Israel people had gone nuts, and God sent them this one good king, and that was great. God is always working in the hearts of his followers. And sometimes we don't see it. Sometimes the person that God is working in the most is not the person that's out in front leading. And so while there is a great honor in King Josiah reading the book of Deuteronomy to the people, there is an even greater honor where God gives a prophecy to the prophetess Huldah to give to the people and shows that not only is he working in King Josiah's heart, he's working in prophetess Huldah's heart too. And I love that because this was back in a patriarchal time when it wasn't ever a great time to be alive. And in fact, I had a guy tell me this morning, he said, on this planet, there has never been a good time for a woman to be alive. They will always get the short end of the stick because of men. He said it started in the garden and it always continues. And I've been thinking about that statement a lot. It never really is a great time for women. There's always some things going on, but God cares about men and women equally. And so for him to give this prophecy to a female prophet back in the times of King Josiah is extraordinary, and it's a big honor. It's also an honor because Huldah is the only female prophet throughout both books. 1st and 2nd Kings, there's only one female prophet. That's our girl Huldah. She might have a weird name. We might never have heard of her, but she has the distinguished honor of being the only female prophetess in the books of 1st and 2nd Kings. Huldah was married to a man who worked in the court. He was called the keeper of the wardrobe. So the guy dressing little 8-year-old Josiah, his wife is back at home prophesying at the same time King Josiah is leading the people. And it's pretty funny because the guy who picked out King Josiah's shirt, his wife is over here getting some prophecies from the Lord at the same time. It's just really funny how that works out. Now, I have one more thing to tell you before you go, and that is this flowery background is not my design. It's not my choice. My wife decided she thought it'd be fun to put it up here, but I had one of you YouTubers bless me with some funds to go out and get a new background. So pretty soon, the next background you're going to see that I'm going to pick is I've got some mountains and some trees coming up. Maybe in a couple weeks, you'll get to see that one. But you can say, bye-bye, lavender flowers. That doesn't fit Joe's style at all. It was kind of fun. Tracy picked it out and we did it. But we're going to move on to a really cool background here pretty soon.